Bonjour, mes amis. Je suis Dr. Pierre. Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of the Dr. Glidden Show, a.k.a. Fire Your MD Now, where we talk about science-based, clinically verified alternatives to the rather old-fashioned, outdated, archaic strategies that the MDs have developed and delivered to the unassuming citizens of the world over the last 200 years. Remember, in the same manner that it would be perhaps unwise of you to go to a chiropractor if you needed open heart surgery or a bullet removed from your arm, it is also unwise of you to bring a body suffering with a chronic disease to the office of an MD, because the MDs are not trained to be concerned with the cause of your disease, nor are they trained in how to cure it. Their training is in how to suppress the symptoms of your illness, period. And under their care, arthritis has risen dramatically. High blood pressure has risen dramatically. Obesity has risen dramatically. Alzheimer's has risen dramatically. Autism has risen dramatically. And our life expectancy has gotten worse. We've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. The worst possible thing you can do if you're suffering with a chronic health condition, asthma, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, anything of a chronic nature, is to bring your body to an MD, because they are clueless about what causes it, and they are incapable of helping your body to cure it. Not even trained to be able to consider a cure. Think about heartburn. Does your medical doctor might be the nicest person God ever created, might be the most humble, awesome, compassionate human being ever. But by virtue of their training, does your MD know what causes or how to cure heartburn? No. They can manage it with a little purple pill, but they can't cure it. And ponder this, young Jedi. To the profession that does not even know how to cure heartburn, we have given nearly $1 trillion to come up with a cure for cancer. And I wonder why everybody is still sick and suffering with cancer, because we've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. Period. This in from Medscape.com. Good news. Everybody who's over 40 years of age at one point in time undoubtedly has had an MD or a nurse tell them that taking vitamins is a fool's errand and that vitamins don't work, and that the only thing that vitamins do is give you expensive urine, which is nonsense. I mean, that's like saying beer doesn't work either, because, you know, it gives you expensive urine. The more beer you drink, the more you pee. I guess that alcohol doesn't do anything while it's passing through the body and being eliminated, right? It doesn't do anything. Older patients with very low levels of vitamin D, like David, have 122% increased risk for dementia compared with those with higher levels, according to a large prospective population-based study. This from Medscape.com, written by Pauline Anderson, August 6, 2014. Are we ahead of the curve? Yes, we are. We've been advising people to take vitamin D supplements along with the other 89 essential nutrients for a long time. Vitamin supplementation is mandatory. Vitamins are essential. There are 16 essential vitamins. What's the definition of an essential nutrient? An essential nutrient, whether it's a vitamin, a mineral, an amino acid, or an essential fatty acid, is something that the human body needs, but the human body cannot make. It is something without which something in the body starts to fail. Vitamin D, like David, is an essential nutrient. Name of this article, Vitamin D and Dementia, a very close tie. Read that as a very close relationship. The article goes on to say the study provides robust evidence of the link between vitamin D and cognition and adds important new information to the association, said the study author David J. Llewellyn, Ph.D., Senior Research Fellow in Clinical Epidemiology, University of Exeter, United Kingdom. Although earlier research had also uncovered this link, we were able, with much greater accuracy, to sort of chart the level of vitamin D that seems to be relevant to dementia risk. Gives us valuable clues as to the kind of trials we should be doing next. So why the hell do you need to do trials? Why don't you just recommend people take vitamin D? Well, I know why, because there's no profit in that. Vitamin D is a naturally occurring substance. And since you cannot patent a naturally occurring substance, since you can't go to Washington, D.C. and patent orange juice or buttercups or oxygen, can't do that in the UK either, there's no profit motive in supplying it to the sick and suffering members of humanity, right? Because if it's not patentable, anybody can make it. If anybody can make it, the profit margin goes into the basement. This is why MDs are all about synthetic pharmaceutical drugs, because a synthetic pharmaceutical drug is a biochemical, a molecule which has never, ever existed before in the universe. Well, at least on the Earth plane which we inhabit. So, for instance, the MDs assume that women in menopause need extra hormones, right? They assume that. That's an incorrect assumption. They don't need extra hormones. They need help balancing the hormones that their bodies are naturally able to make in different levels and different amounts at different ages of life. They don't need extracurricular injected hormones or intervaginal hormones or oral hormone supplementation, but that's not how the MDs were trained. So years ago in the 60s, the MDs decided, well, you know what, all these postmenopausal women with hot flushes and mood swings, well, that's a hormonal problem. So what are we going to do? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make a man-made hormone. We're not just going to give women natural human estriol or estradiol or estrone or natural human progesterone. We're not going to do that. We could do that, but we're not going to do that because we're smarter than God. We're smarter than nature. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 2 parts horse hormone and 1 part human hormone. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Equilin, equilase, and estrone. Equilin, equilase, and estrone. We're going to mix those together in a nice concoction. We're going to call it Premarin, and we're going to deliver it to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women in order to manage the symptoms of menopause. Oh, by the way, Premarin gets its name Premarin because the horse hormones are extracted from the urine of pregnant mares. Premarin. How about that? And I'm the quack, right? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 2 parts horse hormone and 1 part human hormone. We're going to mix those together. That molecule has never existed on planet Earth before, so guess what? We can patent that. And if we can patent it, we're the only ones that make it. And if we're the only ones that make it, if we can convince enough women to take it, well, life is good. Yeah, life is good if you're the doctor, not so much if you're the patient. 3 major side effects of Premarin: breast cancer, uterine cancer, and thrombophlebitis, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk for big bad voodoo daddy stuff. So the MDs create a synthetic man-made drug to increase their profits. Instead of just giving normal human estrogen, which you can do, normal human progesterone, which they could have done. Oh, there's no profit margin in that because anybody can make that. Those are called bioidentical hormones, right? Anybody can make that. A compounding pharmacist can make that in a lickety-split. But we're not going to do that. We're going to give women man-made synthetic horse hormone / human hormone hybrid, and then we're amazed when it produces nasty side effects. But we're not amazed enough to withdraw it from the market. Women in the 70s started to catch wind of the problem with Premarin all by themselves, and so they just stopped taking it of their own volition. They told their MDs, look, we're not going to take this crap anymore. And by that time, the data was in, and you could see that there was a direct correlation between increased incidences of breast cancer, increased incidences of uterine cancer, and increased incidences of inflammation in the veins, especially in the lower legs. And so what did the pharmaceutical industry do? They continued to sell it. You can still get Premarin in the United States, but they stopped advertising it and promoting its use in the United States and the European Union, and they're mostly disseminating it now in third world countries where women just aren't educated enough to know any better. Your medical doctor at play in the field of human suffering. And these are the people that we've given our abject allegiance to. These are the people that we put up on the medical pedestal. These are the people that we go to when we're sick and scared. These are the people whom we trust. Now, quite frankly, just this one issue of the delivery, the manufacture and the delivery of this one drug should be enough to make any reasonable, rational human being with an IQ over 30 question the intellectual integrity of their medical doctor. Because if you were involved with a profession, if you were a member of the Chamber of Commerce in, whatever state that you live in, you're an active member of the Chamber of Commerce, you paid your yearly dues, you paid your monthly dues, you went to all of the meetings, you went to all of the events, and you were an active supporter of the Chamber of Commerce. And you found out that the president and the vice president and the treasurer of that Chamber of Commerce were in cahoots and were swindling and hurting people. What would you do? Do you continue to be a member of that Chamber of Commerce? No. You take action. Why don't the MDs take action? Because they have no intellectual integrity, and your health is not their concern. Fire your MD now and stick around. There's so much more to come. Welcome back, everybody. Scott is my witness. The only reason that people continue to contract the services of their MD is because they're the only show in town. And, if you don't know anything about anything, if you don't really have an eye towards history, you can make improper conclusions, and it happens all of the time. So people look around and they see, well, son of a gun, the only type of medicine that's legally allowed to be practiced in my state is MD-directed medicine. The only medicine my insurance pays for is MD-directed medicine. The only medicine that they practice in my local hospital is MD-directed medicine. Therefore, the MDs must be the best at what they do. And this would be, a rational conclusion to make if you did not know anything about the history of the evolution of medicine in the United States or in Canada or in the European Union. The MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine not because their therapeutics are better, not because their therapeutics are more effective, not because their therapeutics are more scientific, not because their therapeutics are less expensive. They're in the driver's seat because we do not have a free medical market, and they legislated themselves into first place. They bullied everybody else off of the bus in the early 1900s. They kicked the chiropractors, the naturopaths, the homeopaths off of the bus of medicine. Kicked them off, made it illegal to practice medicine unless you were an MD who prescribed drugs. It's a pretty good deal for the MD. Wouldn't you love to have that business? Wouldn't you like to be the only person allowed to sell hamburgers in your state? Wouldn't you like to be the only person that can do plumbing in your town? Nobody else can do plumbing here, only me. Nobody else can put the roofs on houses in the great state of Illinois except my company. Yeah, wouldn't that be good for you? Would be good for you, be great for you, be awesome for you, but not for everybody else. This is why we're in such a pickle, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and, just get a clue. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The MD profession is the leading cause of death in the United States, and we give them a pass. No MD goes to jail. Nobody's hands get slapped. There are no fines levied. Maybe the pharmaceutical company has to pay a pittance. But the MDs don't get into any trouble. Leading cause of death in the United States. The only reason that we put up with this nonsense is because we don't know any better. We have incorrect conclusions about the nature of medicine. Because the MDs have also gone out of their way to tell you that I'm a quack. Put members of my profession behind bars. Completely denigrate the homeopathic medical profession, completely denigrate everybody but themselves. The American Medical Association was found guilty in the mid-'80s for promoting a 10-year slander campaign against the chiropractors. Found guilty in federal court of slandering the chiropractors on purpose. Fined $25 million. Or maybe it was 10. I can't remember. It was a pittance. The damage had been done. Most people, even today, think that the chiropractors have some kind of substandard, dangerous treatments. It's nonsense. Good chiropractor is worth their weight in gold. Chiropractic medicine is awesome. Naturopathic medicine is awesome. Homeopathic medicine is awesome. Acupuncture, Ayurveda, awesome. Should be licensed and regulated and paid for by insurance in all 50 states, but it is not. Because the American Medical Association and the pharmaceutical industry does not want you to have access to a free and open medical market, because they know if you did, by virtue of the nature of the free medical market, within 5, 6, 7 years, the MDs with general family practices would be out of a job. Because their therapeutics don't work. They do not work. Not for chronic disease. You got a bullet in your arm, you have a broken leg, they're the people you go to. That's their thing, that's their wheelhouse, that's what they're good at. Remember, however, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So Harvard University came out with a study, I think a year and a half ago, maybe longer. Over 50% of emergency room medical doctors are addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription meds. Over half. So even at the stuff that they're good at, they're screwing it up. It should be mandatory for an emergency room medical practitioner, whether they're a nurse, whether they're an orderly, whether they're a doctor, have to be drug tested every day that they come into work. Pee in a cup. But that's not going to happen, because that doesn't happen to the king. It's good to be king. King can do whatever the king wants to do. And when the king screws up, no harm, no foul. Ladies and gentlemen, fire your medical doctor today. Get on board with us and let me teach you the simple steps necessary to optimize your body's awesome, built-in, God-given ability to fix itself. I am Dr. Peter Glidden. I am the red pill. It's time we all snapped out of the medical matrix. Stick around. Well, I'm glad that you're feeling good, because most people in the United States are not. Most people in the United States are suffering needlessly. People are suffering needlessly because they've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. They've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. We are the right dog for the hunt. If you're dealing with a chronic disease, fire your medical doctor and get in touch with us, because we have science-based, clinically verified, holistic health recovery strategies, boilerplate, foundation, medical nutrition for the masses, treatment strategies that were developed by the physician, the naturopathic physician, who literally wrote the book on medical nutrition. And by the way, that book cost $25 million, took 10 years of research to compile, and is now a national treasure. It exists in the Smithsonian Institution. T-Ray from California is up first. Let's go right to the phones. Hey, T-Ray, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. How are you?
Well, I'm good, but I'll get better, God willing, and the creek don't rise. What's happening in California?
Nothing. Just getting ready to get the kids back to school. That's all.
All right. How can I help?
Yes, first I just wanted to say thank you for just helping us out. My husband got diagnosed in June with kidney failure, with his kidneys only functioning at 12%. And they also mentioned that he had high blood pressure. And we found out about you guys, about longevity, literally the night before we went in for his evaluation. And everything that we watched from Dr. Wallach And everything that you mentioned is basically what they did. They said they're going to start dialysis in 6 months, and they're going to pop him on the list as quick as they can, and they did. And we were, we do have really good insurance, which is not a good thing. We do realize that now. So we just want to say thank you for that, and helping us out in getting started with the supplements. Unfortunately, my husband's still getting gout attacks. As of right now, it's in his right leg, and for the first time, it's in his right knee.
How do you know it's gout?
Because he says it feels the same. I mean, it started to look a little swollen and a little red, and he started to have gout in his foot last week. Like he felt it Thursday evening, but a little stronger Friday morning, and it went away. But now that's gone, and now it's in his right knee, and this is the first time he's ever felt it there.
And when it normally shows up, is it normally in his, it's always in his right side of his body?
Yeah, and when that's what caused us to go to the ER the very first time when they told us of the high blood pressure. Then a few days later, with a follow-up from the doctor, they told us it was his kidneys, and it was all on his right side. Even then, I mean, it went away. We watched his protein intake. We switched from the from the ESAs to the multi-ESAs of the primrose oil, like you mentioned. And we're just trying to figure out, we're doing everything, the cherry juice and all, everything, antioxidants. We're doing all of that. We're doing an ice application, but we just want to get rid of this sucker.
Okay, and you're guaranteed drop dead that it's a gout attack and it's in his right knee?
Yes.
Okay. And when you look at it, is it red and swollen, or does it look like a normal? I mean, what's it look like when you look at it?
As of right now, it looks a little better. But yesterday, yes, it was swollen, and it was a little red yesterday. But we iced overnight. I just took the ice pack off. He says it feels a little better, but it could be gone too at the same time. I mean, we have colchicine. They gave us that. Vicodin, you name it. But we don't want to take it because obviously the doctor told us last week it has no effect on his kidneys, but we researched on our own like you suggested for us to do, and it's really not good for his kidneys. He's taking allopurinol. He takes the metoprolol. Yeah. We totally thrown out the amlodipine because that's what was causing the lightheadedness, the dizziness, and caused us 3 visits to the ER in 2 weeks. They just told us that he was dehydrated, and that's why his blood pressure rose. And when we were there last Monday, his blood pressure went up again. They didn't mention anything about dehydration. And the doctor said with his kidneys, go on with the transplant. And he really doesn't know why his kidneys are that bad. Again, he kept wiping his face, playing with his nose. I don't know if he was on drugs. But at the same time, we were asking a lot of questions about it.
All right. Well, I have some questions for you here. When his knee was, at its worst, did the knee to him feel hot? Did it feel normal, or did it feel cold? Did your knee feel hot, normal, or cold? Your knee it was hot. It was hot. And is there still a sensation of heat in the part? Do you still have a sensation of that heat in your part? Not anymore. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so here's what I'd like him to do. I'd like him to do some homeopathic sulfur, S like Sam, awesome. ULPHUR, homeopathic sulfur. Okay. In the 30C strength, have him take 2 pellets 3 times a day for 3 days. 2 pellets 3 times a day for 3 days to see if that doesn't help get on to support and promote the structure and function of the knee. That's either going to help or it's not going to help. But remember, from our point of view, all of these conditions, right, the kidney condition and, the chronic gout that they're giving him allopurinol for, and everything else that's been bothering him has taken years, if not decades, of accumulated badness to finally show up, right? It's like the straws that broke the camel's back. This stuff has been happening to his body for decades, and then finally he wakes up one day and he's in the weeds. He's got gout. He's got a degenerative kidney disease. He's got, something is the big bad voodoo daddy in his body now, and it's not genetic. It took years, if not decades, for all of this hurt and trouble to build up to the point where his system broke. So when we intervene with holistic medicine, when we intervene with a strategy, the intention of which is to support and promote the structure and function of the human body, to give the human body a fighting chance to fix itself and to fight back, that is a process. It is not an event. It's going to take time. Now, the old-time naturopath said it takes approximately 1 month for every year that you've had the problem to get on the other side of it. So, I don't know, how long's he had gout for?
His first gout attack when we had our son in 4, 5, 6, maybe like in 2008 he had one then, and then went away. And
all right, so that's 6 years ago, right? So this is going to take at least six months for him to get on the other side of this. You just need to maintain the discipline, and this is, I think, the biggest disconnect that people have with the holistic method, because we're just not used to it. You know, what we're used to is we have a problem, we go to the MD gives us a drug, the drug doesn't cure it, but it takes away our symptoms in like 3 hours, right? You take the Tylenol and the headache's gone pretty rapidly. You take the Prilosec and the heartburn's gone pretty rapidly. Well, there's a gigantic difference between medicating symptoms into submission and stimulating the body's ability to fix itself, right? I mean, I can blow up a house in 3 seconds. It might take me 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, or a year to build the house. So what we want to look to see here with your husband, with anybody else who's fed up with conventional medicine and who wants to give, a holistic option a try, inside of the first 90 days, inside of the first 3 months, we look to see something. We look to see something somewhere improve. Mood, energy, appetite, sleep, or, the arthritic pain, or the high blood pressure numbers, or whatever. As long as we see something dramatic and remarkable improve, that's a herald that we're on the right track. And really, the most important thing for him after that is just slow and steady wins the race. So my counsel to you would be to increase your knowledge base about antioxidants. Increase your understanding about antioxidants. And make sure he is consuming 100,000 ORAC points, ORAC, of antioxidants a day. 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. Now, as an insider, on my website, I have a webinar that explains that. I have a whole chapter in my book that explains that. It's a pretty easy thing to understand. If you can pass the driver's license test, you can understand what antioxidants are. So, in addition to what he's already doing, he's doing the Ultimate Daily Capsules, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, in addition to what you're already doing, just have an eye towards 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. Give the homeopathic sulfur a run for its money. See if that doesn't help him with this, gouty attack. And, keep your fingers crossed, really.
Okay, and I do have one more question. So as far as the detoxing, one of the reps mentioned that, he's going to be flushing out a lot. I mean, even up until now,
no, that's baloney. That's nonsense. I don't know who told you that, but it's an old wives' tale. It's not going to happen. He's not going to have a detoxification reaction. He's not going to have a Herxheimer reaction. He's not going to have, that's nonsense. In some cases, stuff like that happens. Do not expect that with him. If anything negative happens, it's either because the genesis of his body just isn't up to speed yet, and the disease process still has the upper hand. It's got nothing to do with detox. That's a foolish notion. It's just a foolish notion, but it's rampant. There are a lot of people that, the body's going to detox after you do a vitamin program. Baloney. It's not going to do that. And so a good medical nutrition intervention should be painless. There should be no negative side effects, and it should do nothing but generate niceness, right? It should, I'm sleeping a little better. My joint pain's a little better, and it's like that.
And he has, yeah.
So we just need to maintain the discipline and keep the fingers crossed. Go for more antioxidants and up the ante with the homeopathic sulfur T-Ray. You are awesome. North Carolina's up next. Let's talk to Tina. Hey, Tina, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. I have, in the last 6 months, had some ferritin, very low levels. Mine is actually a 6.
Yeah.
And I'm a 6-year cancer survivor, and I've had gastric bypass 5 years ago.
Yep.
And now I have low iron absorption problems as well. And the doctor contacted me today and told me they need to do an upper and lower GI on me. And I have been taking natural iron, and nothing's helping. It's not getting better. It's not getting worse. It's still staying the 6. And so I just need to know if there's something else I can do to help with that problem before we actually do anything different with the doctor.
Well, the different thing you want to do with the doctor is fire the doctor, because any doctor that recommends you have a gastric bypass surgery has their head so far up their backside, they're going to need LEDs for eyes in order to see in the dark. That's just really a ridiculous recommendation for a treatment. It's really juvenile, it's old-fashioned, it's outdated, it doesn't get to the root cause of the illness. And since they've done that to you, your body is going to be compromised in its ability to absorb nutrients, not the least of which would be iron, right? So undoubtedly, the reason that your body is having trouble metabolizing iron or absorbing iron is because of the gastric bypass, but there is a workaround for that. So glad that you found us. So glad that you called. Stick around. We're up against the hard break right now. I'll dial this in for you when we come back, Tina. Thanks so much for the call. Just stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. It's time to get real. It's time to take your health back with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. It's crazy, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It should be illegal for your medical doctor to say that they practice healthcare, because they don't. They practice disease management. There's a gigantic difference. I mean, if there were big letters on the side of your hospital, St. Jude's disease management, you'd think twice about going there, wouldn't you? But when it says healthcare, you're all in. It's false advertising. Quite frankly, when I win the lottery and have $100 million in my bank account, I'm going to start suing people left and right. Because as God is my witness, it's time that we took action, non-militant social action. What did Henry David Thoreau advocate? What was it? What's the term that he used? I'll think of it in a minute. Don't get me started. Looks like I'm already started. I think it was North Carolina that I was talking to. Tina, are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the recommendation here is, your digestive tract, my digestive tract, everybody's digestive tract is like a series of dominoes. And, one domino knocks the other over, knocks the other over, knocks the other over. And because of the gastric bypass that you've had, they just removed a couple of the dominoes. Mm-hmm. So everything downstream from that is going to be funky now unless you get the right medical nutrition support. And this should really make things a great deal different for you. But because of the gastric bypass, we need to start slowly and give your body kind of a small dose of the nutritional supplements and see how you handle it, and then kind of up the ante and up the ante and up the ante until we're at the full metabolic dose. So what's your current body weight?
I'm at 192.
All right, awesome. That's really great. How much do you weigh? How tall are you?
I'm 5'6.5" now.
Okay.
I've 2 inches in the last 4 years.
You lost 2 inches?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I also now have degenerative arthritis.
Yeah, well, that's the same process that made you shrink. It's degenerative arthritis, and people get degenerative arthritis because their bodies run out of the nutrients that their bones need in order to stay healthy, and gastric bypass will accelerate that. So the gastric bypass here really is, at the root cause of a lot of things here. And, we can't go back in time, but we can take steps forward right now in order to give your body a leg up, which it desperately needs. So here's what I would do to start with. I would buy 1 bottle of Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 and 1 bottle of something called Cal Toddy. That's Caltoddy. 1 bottle of Cal Toddy. 1 bottle of Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, and 1 bottle of Projoba Omega. That's Projoba Omega, Omega. Now, that's a fish oil capsule, and I would take 1 of those 3 times a day with a meal. The Cal Toddy, I would take 1 tablespoon in 1 ounce of orange juice 4 times a day, with the final tablespoon being immediately before bed. 1 tablespoon in 1 ounce of orange juice 4 times a day, with the final tablespoon being immediately before bed. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, I would put 2 scoops into 32 ounces of cold water. 2 scoops into 32 ounces of cold water. Put some ice in there. Keep it cold. And all day long, I want you to sip on that. I want you to be sipping on that from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. I want you to take 9 hours to drink that down. 2 level scoops in 32 ounces of water with ice in it. Sip from it slowly over the course of the day. Take 9 hours to drink that all down. And once you've done that, Tina, for 4 weeks in a row, call me back on the radio. Tell me how you're feeling, and we'll take the next step. Remember, this is a holistic medical intervention, and so you want to look to see how this stuff makes you feel. Your mood, your energy, your sleep, your appetite, your weight, and everything else that's bothering you. Just take this stuff every day. Actually, 21 days is plenty of time for you to see effects. Call me back anytime after the 3rd week, and I will look forward to it. Stick around, folks. 2nd hour is coming up. Check out the live video stream, thedrgliddenshow.tv.